South Dakota. Today I will be reviewing the standards for the one-rope bridge for the Ranger Challenge 2007. This will be the carabiner for Ranger Challenge 2007 in this non-locking D-ring. It's of aluminum construction. When the cadets arrive, the following items will be set out on the ground. 11 non-locking aluminum carabiners, 9 Swiss seat ropes, 1 each 120-foot Army green right-hand laid rope in a butterfly coil configuration. The cadets will be told to stand next to their gear and get ready for the 5-minute prep time. On the command go, cadets 2 through 8 will tie their Swiss seats. Cadets 1 and 9 will tie their safety or their Swiss seat, and the team will lay the rope out in whatever configuration they want. At the end of the 5 minutes, the cadets will be told to stop and line up. The Swiss seats and safety ropes will be inspected. Remember, the square knots must be secure on both ends with an overhand knot, and also there must be no knots in the 120-foot rope. The next thing I'm going to cover is terminology. First is a bight. A bight of rope is a simple bend of the rope in which the rope does not cross itself. Here is a bight of the rope. The next I will cover is a loop. A loop is a bend of the rope in which the rope does cross itself. Basically, this is a loop and this is a bight. Loop, bight. The next item I will cover is an overhand knot. Basically, you create a loop in which the rope crosses itself, take the working end of the rope and pass it through the loop, and you have an overhand knot. The next thing I'm going to discuss is our turns and round turns. The first is a turn. It's where the rope wraps around an object a complete 360 degrees and has full contact with that object. This is a turn. A round turn is where the rope wraps around an object 1.5 times and comes back to itself. The next knot I will cover is the bowline, the end of line bowline. Basically, you take the rope, wrap it around your hand, turn it horizontal. You take the working end of the rope and come up through the bight, go down around the standing end of the rope, and go back down through the loop, making sure that this short end of the bight is on the inside of this loop. You've secured the bowline with an overhand knot, making sure that you have 4-inch pigtail after the overhand knot is tied. The checkpoints for this is a bight held in place by a loop. You have an overhand knot that is tied with the short end of the bight. The short end of the bight is on the inside of the loop, and there's 4 inches of pigtail after the overhand knot is tied. This is the knot that number 1 and number 9 cadets will use to hook into their safety ropes via the non-locking aluminum carabiner. Here we have a power line pole as the near anchor. 6 feet from the near anchor is engineering tape representing the limit of the loading platform. The loading platform is between the anchor and engineering tape. The upstream and downstream side of the anchor are marked to show the direction of the river as the obstacle. Here we have a tree as the far anchor. Again, the engineering tape is 6 feet from the anchor and represents the limit of the loading platform. The upstream and downstream side of the anchor are marked to show the direction of the river as the obstacle. Before the number 1 cadet departs the loading platform on the near side, he must clip his end of line bowline into his carabiner and make sure that carabiner is clipped into his Swiss seat or his safety. He's going to cross the obstacle. Making sure that he's on the upstream side of the anchor, and when he goes around the tree or the anchor system, he's going to clip that carabiner, unclip it from his safety, and clip back into the main portion of the rope. Again, this main portion of the rope should be on the upstream side of the. The next knot I will cover is the wireman's knot. Here, my hand is facing palm up, fingertips pointed towards the near anchor, thumb pointed to the downstream side of the obstacle. When tying this knot, take up slack from the near anchor and wrap 2 turns around my left hand. Name the wraps from the heel to the fingertip. Heel, palm, fingertip. Heel, palm, fingertip. This portion of the rope is going towards the near anchor. This portion of the rope is going towards the far anchor. Secure the palm wrap and place it over the heel wrap. Secure the heel wrap and place it over the fingertip wrap. Secure the fingertip wrap and place it over the palm wrap. Secure the palm wrap and pull up to form a fixed loop. When you dress this knot down, you'll have 4 interlocking bites. This fixed loop exiting from the top of the knot will eventually lay towards the near side of the anchor, and when tightened, this loop will not collapse upon the knot. Also, both ends of the knot should exit opposite each other without any bends. In order to loosen the wireman's knot after it has been tightened under extreme tension, it's advisable to place a carabiner in a portion or the inside of the wireman's knot. Basically, this will provide leverage from the inside of the knot of the carabiner. It's optional but highly recommended. Alright, after the wireman's knot is constructed, you take a carabiner, clip it into the fixed portion of the wireman's knot. This portion of the rope is going to be going to the near anchor. It should be going to the upstream side of the anchor. It goes around the back side of the anchor, on the downstream portion of the anchor, and then gets clipped back into the carabiner. We are now back at the far side anchor. The number 1 cadet will unhook the carabiner from the main portion of the rope and will pull the rope, the wireman's knot, from the near side anchor towards the far side anchor. The wireman's knot should be approximately 1/4 to 1/3 the distance from the near side anchor. At that point, the number 1 cadet will wrap the rope around the far side anchor in the form of a round turn. The checkpoints for this include 1 rope on the inside of the far anchor and 2 ropes on the outside of the far anchor. To secure the far side anchor, this portion of the rope is on the downstream side and it's got the end of the rope. I'm going to be creating a bite going over the top of the upstream side of the rope, basically creating with the bite a half hitch, going over the top of the rope again, bringing this bite through, and then cinching it down on the main portion of the rope, and that's going to create basically a double clove hitch over the main portion of the rope. And that clove hitch should be on the upstream side of the... Alright, we're back at the near side anchor. This side is the downstream side of the anchor. This side is the upstream side of the anchor. On the downstream side of the anchor, you should have 2 ropes. This is the rope that goes into the carabiner and the wireman's knot. And this is the rope that's coming out of the carabiner and the wireman's knot. And basically this is where the team is going to pull to tighten up the system. Once the system is tight, again, downstream side, you should have 2 ropes. You're going to go around and create a round turn. Around the near side anchor. At this point, this rope is on the upstream side. On the inside of the anchor, you'll have 1 rope completely around. And on the back side of the anchor, you'll have 3 ropes on the back side of the anchor. Alright, we're back at the near side anchor. I'm holding the rope that went around the near side anchor. This is on the upstream portion. And basically, I'm going to take a bite and go around the 2 ropes that are on the downstream portion of the anchor, creating a half hitch, and taking the bite and coming over and underneath and then back up through to create another half hitch. And basically, you're going to be forming a clove hitch, and that's going to be securing the near side anchor. Once the system is tight, it's to the cadet's advantage to make sure that the wireman's knot is closer to the near side anchor than the edge of the loading platform. This is so that the cadets have at least 1.5 to 2 feet of space in which to load all the cadets crossing onto the rope onto the main rope. The wireman knot should have 4 separate bites locking down on themselves with a fixed bite exiting from the top of the knot. Both ends should exit opposite each other without any bends. The fixed bite with the carabiner should not collapse, I say again, should not collapse down to the main knot when the system is tightened. This fixed loop should stay the same size. Also, an additional carabiner can be placed in the knot to facilitate untying the knot at the end. The near side anchor should have 3 ropes on the back side of the anchor. The main portion of the rope should be on the upstream side. The inside of the anchor should have 1 rope around the anchor, and the 2 half hitches in the form of a double clove hitch should be on the 2 ropes on the downstream side of the anchor. The far side anchor should have the main portion of the rope on the upstream side of the anchor. There should be 1 rope completely around the anchor on the inside, and there should be 2 ropes on the back side of the far side anchor. The 2 half hitches in the form of a double clove hitch should be tied on the single rope that is on the upstream side of the far anchor. Once all the cadets have crossed except for number 9 cadet will break the system down. All he has to do is untie the 2 half hitches, which will loosen up the system. He'll unclip the bite out of the carabiner and the wireman's knot. Once that happens, the far side team can drag across all the excess slack. Number 9 cadet can get ready to cross, but he must clip in with the carabiner into his Swiss seat before he crosses the edge of the loading platform. As number 9 cadet crosses the obstacle, he must cross the far side loading platform before he can unclip from the end of the rope, and also number 9 cadet must be on the far side loading platform before this knot can be undone. At the end of this, when all cadets and equipment are crossed onto the far side, the 120-foot rope all the knots must be taken out of the 120-foot rope before the cadet captain can say stop.